Hey everybody out there in the YouTube universe, this is Mr. Movie, and in today's video we're going to be doing another top 5. If you watch my channel, you know I don't do top 10s like other YouTubers by genre of movies. I do the top 5 movies in my collection that is from a particular actor or a particular director. In this case, it's going to be another actor. For the movie to be considered, obviously the actor has to be in it, but it has to be in it in a starring role or a supporting role. And that role has to be integral to the movie. It can't just be a bit part, it has to be a very important part. So either the 1 or 2 spot in the movie. Now the actor in question that we're going to do with the top 5 of today is going to be the top 5 Keanu Reeves movies that are in my collection. Keanu Reeves isn't the best actor, let's be real about this, but he's a great actor because he doesn't overdo it. He doesn't try too hard. He's basically himself. You know, he gets into the role and he picks the best roles that fit him. Not every time, but most of the time, and I respect that, and I think that's what makes him a beloved actor. You know what I mean? Like, he's not the greatest thespian there is, you know what I mean? But he's a really great actor in that he's great in the movies that he's in. He picks great roles and makes great films. He happens to be one of my personal favorite, even though I still will be honest, and I try to always be honest with you guys and say, you know, come on, he's not the greatest actor in the world. I did a top 5 of Arnold Schwarzenegger recently. He's not the greatest actor in the world either, but he's the greatest action hero that's ever lived. So, you know, he makes great movies. He's got a lot of movies in my collection. Same as Keanu Reeves. This list was pretty hard to do because, you know, he's got a lot of really cool movies and a lot of different movies. So what I did is I picked my personal top 5 favorites. And it came down to what it usually comes down to when I whittle it down to 5. It comes down to the rewatchability factor, which is, if you've seen any of my movie reviews, it's a scale of 0 to 100. And that's how I judge how much I like movie A over movie B, is what's the rewatchability of it? How many times can I watch it and not get bored of it or sick of it or whatever? So these are all pretty high on the rewatchability scale, and that's why they made it into the top 5 over, say, some of the other great Keanu Reeves movies that happen to be in my collection. So with that being said, we're going to start with number 5. I don't think this is a particularly popular movie or well-known movie by a lot of people, but it is a really good movie, and I like it a lot, and that's why it's in the top 5. Coming in at number 5 is Street Kings. Great cast in this movie. What I like about it is he's complex because he's a cop and he does kind of dirty things to get the job done. He doesn't, you know, take money. He doesn't do any of that kind of stuff, but he kind of goes overboard, you know, with his brand of justice, shall we say. And, you know, but he does it for the right reasons. And, you know, it's seen by the department as being too much, and, you know, but he's protected by his chief, who started him out. And he teams with Chris Evans eventually in the movie because of this one case where his partner, his ex-partner, who's kind of given him up for some of the, you know, dirtier things he's done, gets murdered. So they think it's him. His partner's played by Captain America himself, Chris Evans. In one of his earlier roles. He has a minor role, but it's just basically the idea of Keanu Reeves didn't kill his partner, and the cops in his unit are really all corrupt. And it's sort of like the corrupt cop going against the more corrupt cops and trying to figure out who's behind the murder of his ex-partner. And, you know, it's LA. They go through a lot of, you know, grimy street stuff, and you'd be surprised at how cool of a bad cop he plays. But, you know, Keanu Reeves got that heart of gold thing, so that comes across. But, you know, he's an alcoholic. You know, he's been through a lot, but it's a lot of really cool, gritty street action in this movie. And it's a good story. It keeps you engaged in the plot, and you follow it along, and you really don't know what happens and until the very end. There's a big twist. Just a really cool down low movie that I don't think a lot of people know, but I watch it a lot of times because I think it's a really cool action film, and he plays a really good character in the movie. So that's number 5, Street Kings. Coming in at number 4, completely different, going left field, we got The Devil's Advocate. Of course, you can't go wrong with Al Pacino being the devil, but his character, again, very complex. He ends up, you find out in the big reveal, he's the son of the devil, but he's a lawyer who's never lost a case. And, he's in Florida, and the owner of a big law firm in New York City brings him in as the hot young talent, and that's the Al Pacino character who turns out to be the devil. And it's a really cool take on Satan, and most people think lawyers are the devil anyway, and that basically the devil couldn't take over the way he wanted to traditionally. So every time he did, something went wrong, and he couldn't really take over Earth the way he wanted to. And he figured out the way to do it is through the law, through having shady lawyers and going that route with it. And we all know that would probably work if any of this was true and possible. But it's a cool idea that you have the devil trying to take over that way, and Keanu Reeves' character is caught in the middle of trying to do the right thing by his new wife, and he wants to start a family and do well for himself, but he's got a cocky attitude because he's never lost a case, and he's a big shot lawyer, and the city takes him over, and all the things that come with that. And it ends up where the devil kind of wants his son, who's Keanu Reeves, to take over the business and join with him, and they have to do a certain thing to make all this come true. And Keanu Reeves says no and ends up killing himself, but it all comes back around that it just twists, and it starts all over again. And really good concept, very unique. I like his character in the movie. It's very complex, and I think it's a really cool role. And it's an overall really interesting movie, and a very unique take on the whole devil thing. So I really like that movie. I suggest it. It's really cool. Coming in at number 4, The Devil's Advocate. Coming in at number 3, I think a lot of people will be surprised that it's this low. But you'll see why. I'll try to explain myself as we go along. But one of the best movies ever made is The Matrix. I think this is probably his biggest movie, and he fits it perfectly. He is Neo, and it changed so much in film. I've put this in other lists and stuff too. It just changed so many things in film, from the way things are shot, certain actual shots, the way action is filmed, and then just the whole concept behind it is so innovative and interesting, that the world, we basically ended the world and machines took over, but not the Terminator thing. It's more of they're harnessing our energy to sustain the machines that took over, where they basically turned humans into batteries. And a few of them broke out of this, realized what the truth is, and they're trying to change everything from the inside. And he's the chosen one, and he's the one that was prophesized to do it. And just great cast, and just tremendous groundbreaking action from beginning to end. Just a really, really great movie. I didn't put it higher because I can watch it a lot, but after a while you kind of know what happens, and since it's action, a lot of the times you know what's going to happen. That kind of brings it down a little bit on the list, but it's still just this was so hard to do. It's such a tremendous movie. I mean, it could be number 1. It's just, I put it at 3 because you'll see what the other 2 are and why. But just one of the best movies ever made, and he's perfect as Neo. Coming in at number 3, The Matrix. Coming in at number 2, this is one of my favorite films of the last, I say, 15 years, and that's John Wick. I could have put any of the three. I really, really like the third one. I love the second one too, but I go with the first one because obviously it is the first one. I think just by a hair it's the best one, but three is really close because it expanded the whole mythology of what goes on in the John Wick universe and all the different intricacies and people involved and all the countries and assassins and all this stuff. But the reason I love this movie and why it's the perfect fit for Keanu Reeves is because of what I said in the beginning of this video is he's not the greatest actor, but he doesn't have to be in this movie. This movie has the least amount of plot I've ever seen in a classic film. I already say this is a classic film. It literally has almost no plot, but it's so good you don't even care. The action is so groundbreaking. The choreography of the hand to hand with the guns and all that, they call it gun fu, all that stuff, it's just next level. Nothing's better than it, and it just keeps getting better as the films progress. I mean, he's got a cool car, his wife died and she left him a dog, and these Russian mob guys take his car, kill his dog, and then he just goes on a revenge quest, killing everything in sight. That's the whole movie. But you know what? You don't even mind it. An hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever it is, goes by, and you're like, I want more of that. Thus, part 2, part 3, and we're probably going to get 4 or 5. Who knows how far John Wick's going to go. But it's perfect because Keanu Reeves doesn't have to act that much. He doesn't have to get too deep into any kind of scenes. It's just you wronged him or you attacked him, and now you're going to get your ass kicked, and you're going to get probably 2 shots. One to the chest and one to the head just to make sure. And it's just, the action is so good that you don't mind the lack of a deep plot. You don't really need it. But what they did do, which was really smart, is expanding the universe, expanding the mythology of the John Wick world, with all of these different people, the high table and all these different assassins and what their code is and who they answer to. And they're just expanding more and more, and it's getting better and better and better. But I really, really enjoyed this. I didn't think I was going to like it. I mean, I love Keanu Reeves, so I was like, let me check this out. It's pretty cool when it came out. And then when I watched it, I was like, what is this about? And then I found myself getting lost in the action, just like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. Best shoot 'em up movie maybe ever, in terms of, just the gun fu thing, just fighting with hand to hand with guns and using every weapon known to man to kill somebody, and things that aren't even weapons, books, pencils, whatever. Just one of the best action movies ever made, and it's so good that it doesn't even really need a plot. Tremendous movie. I love John Wick, all 3 of them. Coming in at number 2, John Wick. And coming in at number 1, my favorite Keanu Reeves movie, one of my favorite movies of all time, is Point Break. I've never been surfing, but I feel like I've surfed my whole life because of this movie. Great cast, great story. He's a ex-jock, football player, college quarterback, joins the FBI. Gary Busey's his older burnout partner, and they're going after bank robbers who turn out to be surfers who dress up like the ex-presidents with president masks, like Nixon and Reagan and Carter and these guys. And they rob banks to fund their endless summer. It's such a unique story. It's a great story. He falls in love with a girl that knows them. At first, he becomes friends with them, and because he's investigating, but then he really comes to respect and love them, and he's kind of caught in between of trying to do his job as an FBI agent and take these bank robbers down, but he's got into the surfing thing and respects them and becomes such good friends with them. He's torn, and his girl is right in the middle because she's friends with them too, and they kidnap her and they do one last job and his partner gets killed. Great action, great story. The rewatchability is off the charts. I've seen this movie 1,000,000 times. If you've never seen this movie, you need to go watch this movie immediately. It's such a great movie. Like I said, I've seen this movie 1,000,000 times. So quotable. The action is great. And it's not the traditional action. I mean, there's the bank robbing scenes and shootouts and stuff like that. But the surfing stuff, the skydiving stuff, all that kind of adrenaline pumping stuff is action in this movie. And I like the whole thing of kind of like the surfer Zen guru thing, but that in stark contrast with, you know, being a criminal and robbing banks. It kind of doesn't level out, and it ends up taking them down because it doesn't level out. It, you know, it ends up going like this. And Keanu Reeves, Patrick Swayze, playing off each other as friends and enemies. You know, Hunter and Hunted. Great story, and really good acting. And this is Keanu Reeves, one of his better acting performances, and just from beginning to end, one of my favorite movies. I say it's a classic. Point Break, #1. So running down the top 5 Keanu Reeves movies that are in my collection, we got #5, Street Kings; #4, The Devil's Advocate; #2, The Matrix; #3, The Matrix; #2, John Wick; and #1 is Point Break. Cowabunga. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you're a Keanu Reeves fan and you have different movies that I didn't mention, or you have these in a different order, or any kind of comments, throw them in the comments section. We'll chop it up. If you like this video and my other content, I really appreciate the subscription. Hit the notification bell so anytime I drop a new video, you'll get notified. You can check it out. If you like it, hit that like button. Share it with your other movie nut friends. And let them know about my channel. I do videos all the time of older movies. I do top 5 lists of actors, directors. Sometimes they're topical. And I review old movies on their own. So thanks again for watching. This is Mr. Movie signing off. And I will see you again next time at the Flicks.